Good evening. This is Travis for the people. Real change and real solutions and real results. Thank you for tuning in on day to our special edition, right just before our election. Our election begin. Early voting begin on tomorrow for South Carolina, May the 26th to June the 5th from 8:30 to 5 p.m. at wherever you go at the early vote. Please find out where and go out in great numbers starting on tomorrow, because we know we in the midst of redistricting at the last minute. And tonight we are going to talk about Representative James Clyburn against the Republican representative of South Carolina. We are going to find out how effective Mr. Clyburn has been since he's been in office since the 90s to this present. And you're going to find out some shocking results. And you're going to understand clearly that Mr. Clyburn don't need to go nowhere. He needs to stay right where he's at. And you're going to be sorry for those who say it's time for him to retire, those of him say it's time for him to get out of the way. And let's be frank, and let's be clear, let's be precise. Only reason why this is happening for two reasons. Number one, the Trumpster, the dumb Donald have called down South Carolina to our representative, our representative that right now in control of the legislation is the Democratic Party. He called down them and tell them that they need to go ahead and remove Mr. Clyburn from his district, get him out, wipe him out. Matter of fact, the whole entire South is doing it. It's funny how just the whole South is doing it, from all the way from Virginia all the way down to Texas, the whole entire South. It sounds like when Strom Thurmond ran on the district crack, and when he lost, he ran to the Republican Party, and the whole South ran with him to the Republican Party. So the new Republican Party used to be the old Democratic Party, and the old Democratic Party is now the Republican Party. So let's get that straight and understand. Look how time and history repeats itself, because Jim Crow is raising his head. How do Jim Crow raise his head? Because he got Jim Crow Juniors and Jim Crow mams walking around here. And that's what we got going on now with this redistricting, moving black represented, essentially moving the voice of black people out. So as we move forward, Representative Clyburn accomplishments. South Carolina, as a Republican congressional member, revealed fundamentally different legislative philosophy than Mr. Clyburn. Of course, they would, and you're gonna find out what their philosophy are, if it is a philosophy. Clyburn levied senior leadership position to direct massive federal funds into this state, and you're going to find out Mr. Clyburn have got more money in this state since he been represented than out of all the governors in the last three governors we had. He even got more money than all the Republican representatives up there now in Washington. All six of them can't touch him. But yet they want to move him. And yet some of y'all crying moving him. Get him out of here. Time for him to retire. So here, Representative Clyburn, he's a veteran Democratic and former House Majority Whip and appropriates pipeline for South Carolina underserved community. And see, y'all think this hurting black people. This hurting all people in South Carolina. The poor black, the poor white, the poor Hispanic, the poor Asian, all the marginalized community where Representative Clyburn made sure that his legislation and things that passed, he keep the underserved communities in mind. And he followed through with that. Can Nancy May say that? Can what that guy talking about? Wilson? Can Wilson say that? Can all these other unknown people I don't even know? Can Lindsey Graham say that? Can old Uncle Tim Scott say that? I don't think so. So South Carolina Republican delegation blocks national spending package in favor of localized military investment and conservative policy reform. All you will block funding for your own South Carolina because you worry about military. You want to go to war all the time. That's why the Republican Party is hawkish. The Republican Party is those who like to go to war. That's why we in the war now. The liar in chief said he ain't even going to start no wars, but he in the war because he in the war over money. Bush went to war over money, and Dick Cheney was the Hollenberg company. His oil company was in Iraq. So this stuff is all about money. And Trump, we know this old liar, this old cheater, this old stealer, all he doing is trying to enrich himself. And then, but the Republican Party and the Republican voters are happy with that. Stay tuned for more on that on this day. Look what Mr. Clyburn had accomplished since he was in Congress, is that he has a mastery of federal budget process. Because he has spent decades on the top 10 here of the House leadership, he inserts language into national bills that quietly routes money directly to South Carolina. He had routed over 65 billion broadband initiative. Clyburn did that. 65 billion in dollars. And the persistent poverty target, he made sure his 10-20-30 formula bypassed the normal bureaucracy grant bidding. It guaranteed that South Carolina poorest rural corridors receive economic development funds automatically. And you got people in South Carolina talking about get rid of him, goodbye. Because the only thing you doing, only why you saying that because you was a bigot. You don't want him there because he black. You don't want him because he's serving the community. You don't want him because he's looking out for the those that don't have a voice and those that are struggling. You don't want you not saying that. You saying get rid of him because he's black. This is what this about. Old racist South Carolina again. And I'm ashamed of Merrill Smith. He ain't have to obey the governor. He's an elected official, just like the governor is. He could say, "No, governor, we not calling no session for no redistrict. We may come in, but we not taking a vote on that." But he is a coward, along with the rest of those Republicans. They are spineless men and women, no backbone. Just looking the candy of Donald Trump. So here, as we go on, these are the people currently in Washington: Nancy Mace, Ralph Norman, um, and with that guy Joe Wilson, and these other two people who other three people who I ain't never heard of. We don't even hear about them up there. And what are they doing? Are they bringing $65 billion in? No, this is what their policy are. They want to downside the federal footprint and protect special economic interest. Yeah, cold word. They want to protect special interests. They in the pockets of the fat cats. That's what they want to protect. They want to secure military footprint. Here we go again. They claim they for protecting the fence and protecting the bases in Charleston, the bases in Columbia, the bases in Sumter. They claim they all for that. But what are they doing for the military right now? They getting ready to throw all the military votes just to redistrict. How you claim that you for military and you don't even care about their vote? Now, National Party winners, look at that. Members like Ralph Norman used their leverage in the committee to push structural change, such as the Balanced Budget Amendment. He's a liar. The Republicans have blow the economy up. They have blow the deficit up. He ain't for no budgeting process. This man lied. Just like he just had a video came out, and I did a video on him and talk about all the 96 was that the January 6th riot was made up. That man crazy. He should not be the governor of this South Carolina because he crazy as a Bessie bug. Then state levy, let's levy surety federal. This is what they were about. Federal South Carolina Republic maintain tight alliance with state Republican dominant General Assembly. They aligned their efforts to push business friendly measures, support law enforcement, reshape the state political boundary. Yeah, y'all about power and control and law enforcement. Yeah, who you enforcing? Put law on locking more black people up, locking more brown people up, anti homophobic, all this other stuff that y'all claim that, and this is supposed to be the party of family value, the party of faith. And they don't know nothing but love thy neighbor as love thyself. We're not saying letting people go around do what they want to do, but you at least should have some mercy. These people don't have mercy. And Nancy Reese, I'm Nancy Mace. I'm shocked at her. She came from nothing and worked her way up. She came for having a claim she have a background of abuse and all that. She should be the last person defending Trump. She should be the last person looking over the disadvantage because she was in those shoes herself. So let's move forward on this. And as we move on, look at Jim Clyburn. We're going to continue to talk about his accomplishments. Look at versus the Republican delegation of South Carolina. He pioneered a 10-20-30 federal funding formula, which legally mandate that 10% of federal development funds go to counties with position poverty rates over 20%. He makes sure Banburg, he makes sure Vance, Harley Hill, he makes sure Allendale, he'll make sure Orangeburg, St. Matthew, he'll make sure Newberry County. He makes sure all these people up there in the Piedmont area, Seneca, the Providence area, the people that populated by a lot of poor white people and a lot of people down here in Charleston, Beaufort area, Hilton Head area, the areas, Jasper County, Hampton, and all these counties in Ridgeway, in Ridgeland, Chester, all these county, York, all these poor county, Marlborough County, Darlington, and Hartsville, poor counties, making sure money is revert to them, and you want to kick this man out? Really? And look at that. He want money to go to the poverty-stricken area. Guess what? The Republican opposed mass federal omnibus package. What? Why would you oppose packages of money? 20% of the federal money going to 10% of it going to 20% of the poverty-stricken area in South Carolina. Why would the own delegation rejected? That lets you know they don't care about the poor and the middle class people in South Carolina. That means you white people, that means the black people, that means Asian people, Hispanic people, and y'all up here voting Republican and they don't even care nothing about you. Look at local infrastructure projects. He consistently secured tens of millions of dollars, including 50 million packages for rural water upgrades, airport expansion, and multiple transit. Here we go again. The Republican Party explicitly reject and vote against national infrastructure. So they don't want the roads to be prepared and to be repaired in South Carolina. They don't even want infrastructure to build the bridges to be repaired. They don't want the water system to be upgraded. They just vote against everything that's going to help them self as well in their constituents because somebody that's named James Clyburn is out there doing his job for the South Carolina. Matter of fact, for everybody, they just I now I'm thinking this is being offensive. They doing it because he's black. Now look at it. He makes sure he funnel massive federal grants of history or black colleges and university HBCUs, including 45 million investment for the South Carolina State University nuclear research and RTC facilities. Here we go. Here go with the Republican. They champion school choice voucher expansion, legislation limit on federal education outreach. What they saying, then they actively support banning diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we're gonna come back on that more probably on tomorrow about we're gonna dive more into DEI and all those who rejecting it, like Pamela Evett with her crazy self, don't understand diversity, equality, and inclusion, equity, and inclusion help her. She wouldn't even be in the position that she is now if it wasn't for that. You up there kicking against your own self. Because back in the day, you couldn't even vote. You couldn't even have a voice. And here now you kicking that. Clyburn is doing. And we're going to dive more deep in all this money that going to South Carolina versus we're going to talk about the money that versus all the historical black college university, but the money that is less than nothing but a drop in the bucket compared to all the money that this state is giving Clemson at the University of South Carolina. As long as their people are most of their people are being educated, it's fine. Actually, when you are banning education and talking on the limits on funding education, you saying that you don't want your population to be your citizens, your residents, your constituents to be educated. You want them to be some dumb people. Not only that, Carbon author the federal bills that create concrete national park, Gullah Geechee cultural heritage corridor. That Gullah Geechee corridor, again, from Beaufort all the way up down to Charleston, Hilton Head area, Ravenel, Hollywood, Charleston, Mount Pleasant, Arundel, McCullenville, that Gullah Geechee culture, he developed that in South Carolina National Heritage Corridor. He helped. He authored federal bill that create these things. The history of South Carolina. And you got these people up here don't even want you to know history. Because number one, they're ashamed of what they done to black people. That's number one. Number two, they don't want people to know how rich this state is with culture and the different dialects we got. We have different dialects. The South Charleston area, the Low Country talk with a different dialect. The Midlands talk with a different dialect. And the Piedmont area talk with a different dialect. I was totally shocked when I went to college that people that look like me in Adamsville talk like they in the hillbillies. I was shocked. I thought everybody talked like me, but people from King Street talk different than from me. So that culture is rich. That diversity goes beyond skin color. But yet, they don't like DEI. Okay? Look what he did with the health care. He helped push the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, because Obama do care. Trump been grandma, they had supposed to have a Trump care, ain't got nothing yet. He helped secure the cap on insulins of 30 under $35 under on Medicare, which was a great thing. And here now they try to skip that Obamacare, repeal it, because they want people to be sick. Why they want people to be sick? Because the pharmaceutical company backing them, enriching their pocket. champion free market healthcare alternative lawsuit, liability reform for providers. Oh, they're looking out for the providers. This is the Republican Party. They are backing the company that want to keep us sick, but don't want people to get health care. But number one, they got one of the second best, if not the third best, health care in America. The Catholic got the best, then the Presbyterian got the best, and Congress got the third best health care plan that is paid by what? The taxpayers, us. But yet they don't want us to have good access to health care because they back in the providers. What a hypocrites they are. The Republican Party is trash. South Carolina is under control by the Republican Party since 2003 present and to this present. Here is the scorecard. Economy is a B plus. Education is a D minus. Health is a D. Poverty and opportunity is a F. Infrastructure is a D plus. They steady they out there trying to redistrict. They should be trying to figure out how to fix education, figure out how to fix healthcare, figure out how to help people get out of poverty. They figure out how to better our infrastructure, and all that infrastructure that's going on now, that didn't came from a Republican, that came from a Democrat. His name Joe Biden. Trump ain't doing none of this, and none of the Republicans voted for it. They voted against it, and y'all up here supporting them like y'all a bunch of fools. When you gonna wake up? It doesn't matter. It ain't about no Republican or Democrat. It's about the welfare of you and your family, your children. They don't want your children to be educated. They don't want them to have good health. They don't want them to come out of poverty. They don't want them to go across safe bridges and safe roads. They just want them to get all killed up for no reason. And something they can help. Something this can be avoided. Like I said, again, the Republican Party is trash. Now, since 2023 to present, we're going to run the governor's scorecard now. The last three governors of South Carolina, Mark Sanford, his fiscal atrocity era. What did he do? He prioritized debt reduction, spending vetoes, cut state income that often clash with his own party and legislature to restrict state budget. Look at his scorecard. Again, he got a B in economics, but because they let all these companies come in here, all these plants, and don't want to tax the plants. That's why these plants come into South Carolina, because they don't have to pay taxes. Because remember, all corporations are people too. That's what the Republican Party stuff. This state could be well off in what it is if we tax these companies like we should. So education is a D plus. We underneath Mark Sanford, we were 45th to 45th and 48th nationally. Health is a D. Opposed government subsidized healthcare model. Public health infrastructure remain heavily underfunded. I was working with the Joe Neal task force, God bless the dead, that we went around from 2006, 2008, trying to educate the people about the HIV and AIDS crisis that we have in South Carolina. And if we will continue to allow them to go into the emergency room will be bankrupt. But yet it only takes $10,000 to medicate each person with HIV AIDS for a whole year, but it takes $30,000 for them to get medicated if they go into the emergency room. And the Republican agenda attacked it and attacked it and attacked it. We only have one organization that Dr. Bammy Geddes, who is out there having the faith initiatives to help these marginalized people, but yet they attack it and attack it and attack it because they don't want help. And they told us, well, HIV AIDS ain't white people problem, it's black people problem. Since when that is? So, and the poverty is an F. The corridor shame along along Interstate 95 still persists in multi-generational poverty. They want to keep people in poverty. Infrastructure is an F. He highly resists to utilize state funds or taking on the budget, the debt for the roads. He didn't want to fix roads. This was the Republican governor, the Republican legislator of South Carolina. They do not want to help real people with real issues. Let's go to Nikki Haley. Only thing I can say about Nikki Haley, that she did step up during the Charleston Nine. That's the only good thing I can say about her. Nikki Haley was the global corporate recruitment heir. She started getting all these manufacturing to come in. I was in something, got that Carolina Tire to come in. So Haley shifted the executive focus toward massive global manufacturing recruitment, branding South Carolina as a non-union powerhouse for massive aerospace and automatic corporate. That's when Boeing and all that come in. Mercedes-Benz, all this, Carolina Tires, Volvo, BMW, all of that came in. So she got an A for economy because of that. But look at education is a D. Funding inadequacies between health, coastal schools, and rural district remain undressed. Health was a D minus. There was a problem in Newberry area where a bunch of children died underneath her administration. Poverty is a D. But even though you brought all these plants in here and with jobs in here, still the unemployment rate was low. The state minimum wage remained stagnant and trailed the national average. Poverty is a D under her. Infrastructure is a C minus. She resisted increases to the state gas taxes and leaving standard roads maintenance heavily backlogged. Ain't that something? A person that's supposed to have family values, conservative views, Christian values, and they don't care about the well-being of people. What a hypocrite. Again, I'll say the Republican Party in the state of South Carolina is trash. Look at now we to Governor McMaster. He's the hyper-growth and inbound migration era. McMaster tenure has been characterized a massive inbound population migration. A lot of the baby boomers moving from the north, moving to South Carolina. They say at one point 76 people move, 77 people move to South Carolina every day. That's a whole lot of bunch of folk that come in. We know it, and Charleston is overcrowded. Charleston in a minute gonna be worse than Atlanta and Charlotte. It's hard almost to get around, and it don't have the infrastructure to hold up. Don't have train to port people back from downtown into some of the area, which they supposed to be working on that. Our bridges still need to be repaired. Our roads need to be repaired. Our roads need to be widened. Got all this traffic on here. They have neglected infrastructure for years, and they know all these people was coming here. If you're gonna invite companies to establish business here, you know it's gonna bring people here. Then you're on top of that, people coming because of work. Now people coming because of retirement, because South Carolina is a good place to retire based on the income level, because you can retire, you can live good down here from retirement from the north coming to the south. And the weather is not bad. But yet the leadership, the Republican leadership, have failed South Carolina. The infrastructure under him is the D minus. Reason why it started expanding again. It wasn't because of him. Joe Biden sent this money down here, and he just reaping the benefits of it. The legislature backed gas tax hike alongside federal funding, to launch the historic overhaul of structurally deficient bridges and road band expansion. All that was done under Biden era. That's why they're getting ready to fix that Santee Bridge over there for years that need to be fixed. They're getting ready to do that. Who helped get that money? Jim Clyburn. But yet we want to put them out. Now we know the Republican Party and some of y'all white folk that can't stand black people who doing things in spite of you discriminating, in spite of you trashing him, in spite of you calling everything, but yet he working for you. And the Republican Party, this is what the Republican Party rather see. They rather have Representative Clyburn. They rather lick the candy from Donald Trump. They rather support a felony. They rather support a president that been impeached twice. They rather support a president that been indicted 4 times. They rather support a president that had his mugshot. First president ever to have his mugshot. They'd rather support the president that ever was to have a probation offer. They'd rather support a president that was charged with 88 felonies. They'd rather support a president that ever to be convicted with 34 felonies. First president ever to incite a domestic terrorist attack. This is who you support. That got the phone call from him to redistrict South Carolina. And South Carolina didn't even create these maps. Somebody in Virginia, someone in his administration. But yet you want to remove somebody that helped South Carolina for years. Republican Party, and here I say again, in South Carolina is trash. Jim Clyburn, let's talk about his stuff that he have done so far since he. Let's continue to talk about what he has been doing. Jim Clyburn been up there since 1993 to present. Okay, Clyburn had done a lot of work. He had Clyburn lifetime operated in Mexico, showed the high marks of a powerful political leader. Okay, you don't talk about no Joe Wilson. Don't talk about no Ralph Norman. Don't talk about no Nancy Mace and them other unknown 3 people who we don't know about that's up there. We don't see how powerful they are. Okay, Bill sponsored past over his multi-decade career. Clyburn has sponsored and co-sponsored thousands of bills, with nearly 200 successfully becoming federal law. That's awesome. Not only that, he served in the top Democratic leadership, the whip, and assistant to the leader. His primary job was enforcing strict partisan party unity rather than reaching across the aisle to compromise. Done an excellent job. Missed votes. He only missed votes 3.5% of the lifetime missed vote rate, which is slightly higher than 1% of congressional media. This is a standard for members senior leadership who frequently travel nationally for party fundraising and executive strategy meetings. So we can understand he missed something because he's out doing things. He's out trying to better the party. Out there trying to better his constituents all over the United States. Not just here in South Carolina. Look at his record. Labor and work, 97%. This is scorecard. He consistently votes for federal minimum wage increase, Union Protection Act, and expanded worker benefit. Who don't want union protection in South Carolina? The Republican Party. Civil rights. He's the NWCP legislative report card, 100%. Rapidly support federal voting rights, criminal justice reform, and DEI initiative. That's what the NWCP say. He support the AFL, the CI legislative scorecard, and on labor and work is 97%. Civil rights, NWC, he's 100%. Environment, the League of Conservation Voters said that he's 91%. He support the Green New Deal framework, strict EPA emission standard, federal green energy tax. Now, who want to lax all the federal EPA standard? The Republican Party. And we know how rich our conservation is there in South Carolina, and you want to lax federal oversight? What's wrong with y'all? Conservative politics, Heritage Action Scorecard said he's 0%. Votes against corporate tax cut, border wall funding, balanced budget amendments, and restriction on abortion assets. He voted against all that. How are you going to tell a woman to do with her body? And this is what I don't understand Pamela and Nancy Means going to tell. They want men to tell them what to do with their body. That don't make sense. Gun rights. The National Rifle Association give him an F because he want to sponsor vote for universal background checks and bans on assault weapons and caustic on it because they making money. They want people in the community to be killed up, and the Republican Party support that. Here we go. Let's look at him again. Clyburn Congressional Congress again. Poverty, opportunity, he is an A. Infrastructure is an A minus. Supporting HBCUs and education all a B plus. Healthcare a B minus. Conservation and historic preservation an A plus. Look at what he's doing. Now, as we continue to go on, look at it. What are the South Carolina Republican Party at the command of Donald Trump redistricting Representative James Clyburn? Want to get him out. And all that accomplishment he done and the tens of millions of dollars that he brought into to South Carolina to help the marginalized community. The $65 billion for broad initiative. All this money that he helped education and HBCUs, colleges, because we know in South Carolina, majority of the money goes to Clemson and USC. They don't care about the other universities in South Carolina, but Jim Clyburn do. Is the Republican Party against poverty and opportunity? Yes. Is the South Carolina Republican Party against infrastructure? Yes. Is the South Carolina Republican Party against education in the HBCU? Yes. Is South Carolina Republican Party against health care? Yes. Is South Carolina Republican Party against conservation and historic preservation? Yes. What y'all want? This we have an opportunity on tomorrow. We can start beginning and go out in great numbers. We have a strong ticket on the Democratic Party. We have an opportunity. It is time to replace the Republican Party and get out and vote. We need to keep Jim Clyburn, and we need to get some of these Republican Party out of office. Again, the Republican Party in South Carolina is trash. Let's look at it again. Here's a report card. 46 years of reliable Republican leadership. Look at the report card in South Carolina. Education is an F. 43rd out of 50 states in the United States. Poverty is an F. 41st out of 50. Healthcare is an F. 37 out of 50. Overall, how do we rank as a state? A F, or 39 out of 50. Our overall GPA average is a F. And why you continue to vote for the Republican Party and they failing you in education, poverty, healthcare, and every other thing that related to you, you got to be sick out of your mind. Travis for the People Special Edition, Representative Jim Clyburn against the Republican Party. One man did more for South Carolina than the past three governors and all those been represented in Congress from the Republican Party. He did more. And retrospect, they did something. They went against everything that's going to help people in the South Carolina. This redistricting in South Carolina is a crack. It is highly sick. These people need problem. They need to get their head examined. These people up there, they're crazy. They're willing to do anything. They're willing to burn down the house because of one man. They up there licking the candy off of Donald Trump instead of looking out for the constituents in South Carolina. It's an absolutely shame. It's a disgrace. It is totally appalling. Now you want to bid out the only representative of South Carolina actually would bring in more money in the South Carolina, the better property, healthcare, education, infrastructure, conservation, and all the other good things, and you want him out because one man said put him out. How does that work? And you, instead of you want to put him out, you should be trying to work with him. If you really want to compromise and work across the aisle and sitting up there in the Senate, the lad be my friend from Richland County, my friend. You ain't no friend of nobody. You ain't friends of your neighbor in South Carolina when you want to redistrict in the middle of an election. You is a bunch of hypocrite. But guess what? Hey, every dog have his day. You may be in power in this light right now, but I know who have the final say. I know who is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last, going to have the final say. Well, I ain't worried about it. I'm gonna get out there and vote tomorrow, like I always been voting ever since I get an opportunity to vote. And I'm gonna encourage every African American, every Hispanic, every every Asian, every Latino, every white, poor, marginalized person. You better get out there and vote on tomorrow, and don't be vote based on part of the line. Vote based on the data and what you have been seeing that the Republican Party have trashed this economy, trash it. We going to the pump paying $5. We going to the grocery store, can't even buy meat. Dang on there, salmon is almost $30 a slab. That's a shame. That's a disgrace. And you up there happy with that? You want to be happy with Donald Trump being in leadership and he's trashing this country, making mockery of the country? He even said he don't even care about the financial status of American people. That's from the leader of the Republican Party. And every last one of the Republican Party is co-signed off that message in South Carolina. That's why they got to go. We have an opportunity to unseat these demagogues. We got an opportunity to unseat this trash. Let's take out the trash this year in November. Let's take it out. Gaggedy gag, don't come back. Again, this is Travis for the people. Stay tuned. We'll be back for more, for real change, real solution, and real result. Stop voting for people that are going against your own self-interest. Vote the right way. Vote with a conscience. Vote with knowing. Vote for change, vote for solution, and vote for results. And Clyburn, whether you like him or not, he brought the receipts home. He brought the results home. And he got the receipts to reprove it. Stay tuned till we meet again. Travis for the people. Real change, real solution, real results.